seconds to kick a game-time field goal on the last drive. Good enough to get him in?
Death Valley is an impressive place. Yeah, it's Alabama, that pedigree. But once again, we're asking 12 people, now 12, what how their minds were. Here's what I want to say about the totality of the Texas, Auburn, and Alabama games, which is that all the things that unfolded in the end of both of those games were crazy or negative. Fumbles. We had endless reviews of which were necessary. And then Blake Sims channeled his inner Aaron Rodgers and made positive plays to get Alabama.
John, to me, this was the great dramatic moment of maybe of the season so far, just because Alabama is a minute away from being out of this thing. You can come up with a scenario where they might make it. And Blake Sims had done nothing in the second half to prepare you for what happened next. They under a minute left in the game, and then when they get across, he makes two throws that he absolutely has to make. And to me, that with everything that's happened and the way we have turned this into a season-long tournament, when it's the great Dave DeBush used to say, when the money was on the table last night, he took his team down the field. And then how about the first call in overtime where he throws it to the big kid and takes him down to the 1 yard line?
What's great about it as well is that you're looking at this, and it has come down to a tournament. You're thinking, okay, well, we were saying earlier that who's number one is more important than who's number four. Who's number four is the story right now, because now you've got a shot. It's not as though before when you go 1-2 and then everybody else is finished. That 4 spot could actually get you to number one now for the first time.
And that's why the Kansas State TCU game was so important as well. And TCU, you guys may be right. They're so impressive, the numbers they are putting up. Kansas State had almost beaten Auburn.
This is why I like the fact that we're talking about people doing this decision ultimately, with the aid of computers, okay? But people, because people saw it. People know that was a convincing, dominating win over a very good team in a must-win situation for TCU. Remember in the old days when some of the computers didn't have anything to do with margin of victory. People saw the eyeball test was confirmed yesterday for people who are looking to see what TCU has to offer.
TCU has the easiest path. Florida State has a fairly easy path, but they have some potential stumbling blocks the rest of the way. And then the SEC, as usual, is knockout football. And here's what I want to ask you, formerly Mr. BCS lover, now loving the Big Four, okay? Can a 2-loss team from the SEC still make it to the tournament?
I think if it's going to happen, it would be Ole Miss, because the way they lost their 2 games at LSU, tough place to play, Death Valley, and then against Auburn in a game that they really had won until there's that accident on the goal line with a broken ankle, and that's the end of that game. And they have, at the end of the season, they've got to play Mississippi State, and then they got to play in an SEC championship game. I think they have a chance as a 2-loss team.
Well, and you've also got some knockout stuff going on here, too. It's not as though, I like the fact that you've got separation. You've got TCU playing Kansas State. You've got that happening. So it's a 6 and a 7. But does Auburn actually have a shot? Maybe. What if they win? What if they win at Alabama?
I have no sympathy for Auburn.
They didn't play yesterday.
The way they lost yesterday, you can't have a lot of sympathy for Auburn. This isn't like Mississippi and the kid breaking his leg and being a half a yard from winning the game.
But Mike, do you think they have a shot, though? If they win the Auburn, do you think they've got a shot?
I do not. I'm telling you something. I think this might have been a transformative moment for Blake Sims yesterday. I think what happened, I think there's going to be some carryover. Now, they can lose to Mississippi State, but to me, this thing is always more interesting when Alabama's in play. Alabama is one of those teams, and I just love the way they won this game last night in one of the hardest places to play in college football.
And what about the guys that right now seem to be on the outside looking in? Arizona State, impressive win against Notre Dame. The Ohio State Buckeyes go to Michigan State, the most impressive win of yesterday.
Well, that Ohio State, people, one of the knocks, if you will, if it was, they score a lot of points, but who have they beaten? Well, they ran up their weekly allotment against a very good team yesterday, and this guy, this quarterback, Mr. Barrett, what was the other guy's name? No offense, Boxer Miller. I don't want to make any fun of him at all, but this kid has saved their life. He's been terrific.
They got to get into the conversation now. They have to. And by the way, before we leave Arizona State, Notre Dame, nice job, Coach Kelly, after the game, because not only did he throw his quarterback under the bus, he had the bus then go up about 50 yards.
And he backed up and put it in reverse.
Boy, did I coach. They sure did play that. Good job,
Coach. They were prepared, is what he was saying. They were prepared, but his quarterback Just an awful, awful game is the way he looked at it. He did turn it over 4 times, but I mean, come on, it was bounce balls coming off of his receivers and such. Oregon, on the other hand, I mean, they had a chance.
They're about to go down 14-0,
right?
And then the kid pulls into Deshaun Jackson. And by the way, they went to the same high school, makes the same play. That is unbelievable. But I really do think, too, when you think about maybe like an Ohio State, they need help. Oh, yeah. How much help do they need? How much help are they going to get? And I do think that this is one of the reasons why this is a better system than you had before, because technically they could go from 14 maybe to 8 and maybe get a shot.
But here's the thing: I thought that Alabama had the great drama of the day, but the biggest statement of the day was either TCU or Ohio State, because everybody, I had fancied Michigan State as having a chance to undo the wrong that was done to them last year and maybe get into the thing this year, but they're not gonna now.
You know, it's interesting. At the beginning of the season, there were already people yelling for 8 teams and 1 8. I don't think so. I think the way this is set up right now has made the season so important and interesting. Still ahead, Tom Brady outdueled